G'day guys, Incineroar was just announced for the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate roster, so I just had to make a tutorial on how to draw him. Make sure you watch the whole thing, because I've got some great tips for you today. You're going to need a pencil, paper, an eraser, and a Sharpie to go over your sketch with. Let's go! Let's get started. But first, if you want to learn the fast and easy way, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell. Let's begin! Now we always start with the head, it's the easiest place to start with. So with your pencil, just kind of lightly stroke out the shape of a wide circle, or an equal circle, doesn't really matter, the steps are pretty much the same. I'm going to go for kind of like a wide circle, kind of shaped like an orange, and I'm going to chop that orange in half down the middle, and then in half across the middle, like this. So we end up with kind of like this window shape, this kind of cross shape, okay? Now let's go for the ears. So the ears are just two little triangles on the top of the head, like that. And now Incineroar has really kind of bushy fur either side of his head, so I'm going to do one big spike kind of pointing up like this, and then comes down to roughly halfway around this quarter here, and then we'll come out again. Another spike of fur that ends where we drew. It kind of meets here and we form another cross shape, okay? Let's just do that for the other side, so another kind of tuft of fur that goes up, down, ends about this area here, and then another bigger one that just kind of comes out and meets again at this line. Now we're going to draw a couple more tufts of fur, almost like symmetrical, okay? Kind of like this is a mirror, and it's just kind of reflecting down. So just a couple more tufts of fur like that, end about here, and we'll just do the same for the other side. Incineroar's got an awful lot of fur going on either side of his head. Okay, now let's just draw in the nose so it gives us kind of a good idea of where the middle of the face is. Just under this bit here where the lines meet, we're just going to draw a triangle pointing downwards. Okay, simple as that for the nose. And now let's go for those eyes. So to tell us where those eyes are going to be, either side of this guideline here, just draw a very gentle line down, just past halfway down that kind of the length of this line here. Okay, so finish about there. And then two triangles pointing out here. Those are his markings, I think. And then just come out and finish about in the middle of this tuft of fur here, okay? So again, just kind of come up and meet it there. So you can see why we draw all our guidelines. It really helps us to build the picture. Now, where this one is, where this line is here, just bring it down again. And before you reach this, just stop and go up a little bit like that, okay? So we're just going to do the same on the other side, but backwards. These are the eyebrows. Now at the end, the fur actually comes out a bit, goes off his face, so just continue these lines a bit and make a point, okay? I guess kind of like the hands of a clock. So just point it out a little bit and then come back. So don't worry if that overlaps or looks a bit funny, because it doesn't really matter at this stage. We're just going to go over it with a pen later. So let's draw in the eyes, but before we do that we need to draw the muzzle. So coming away from these lines we drew here, and then just before we get to that middle guideline we're going to draw a cross. Okay, and finish about there. Now draw all the way down, just kind of draw a semicircle that goes from one side to the other. Just gentle strokes with the pencil still, we're not using a pen yet. And now near the bottom of that semicircle we're going to draw in the mouth, which is just going to at the moment be a triangle that comes up near the nose, doesn't quite get to it, and then comes back down, okay? So you should end up with something like that. Now either side of that mouth he's got a big kind of underbite, big fangs that come up like this. So just draw two big triangles like that. They can be really big, so you can be quite liberal with how big you draw those. And we're just going to draw a zigzag here for the teeth. Now we can finally draw those eyes in. So we've got everything else built in. The eyes are going to be here. Okay, so let's start with this one. It's just a straight line that goes down. A straight line that goes down. And then two more straight lines. About there. And there. And then one more straight line in the middle of those two straight lines we just drew. And there we go, we've drawn Incineroar's face. So let's build the rest of the body. So starting here and starting here, we're going to draw kind of an odd shape, but bear with me here. It's kind of, I don't know how to describe it really, but it's a bit like an arrowhead that goes down. It's a bit curvy at the edges. Okay, so that's a shoulder, and down for the chest and the torso. And when you get to this kind of area, we don't really need them to meet. It doesn't really, I mean, it's okay if they do, but I think it's just a little bit easier if we just draw a line straight across like that, okay? Now let's just draw in some guides for the arms. So along the top here, just following on the shoulder, we'll draw a curving line down, and again on the other side. Okay, then just draw a narrow kind of line at the end of that guideline that we just drew, and then curve it back into the torso. And notice how the wrist is really thin compared to the shoulder, and that's just the way Incineroar's designed, so we're going to do that in our own drawings. So just a curving line that kind of goes straight across, to be honest, straight to the torso. Now let's get those hands out of the way. Hands are really tricky, so I like to get them out of the way early. Now what we're going to do is from here we're going to come out a little bit, and then we're just going to draw a blob for the thumb, like that. At the end of that thumb there's a claw, so just draw a little triangle there at the end of the thumb. Now for the rest of the fingers, I'm going to draw them kind of like placed out like he's ready to grab someone, because I think Incineroar is a wrestler. So we're just going to kind of position the fingers kind of like he's just ready to grab. Okay, so they're kind of outstretched a bit, just drawing sausages one after the other. I have done a tutorial on how to draw hands, by the way, if you struggle here. And if you do struggle here, I don't blame you. Hands are very, very difficult. Very, very difficult indeed. At the ends of these fingers, just going to draw in some triangles. So I'm just going to link the tutorial on how to draw hands up here in the corner. That card should appear, or has appeared by now. So click that if you have any trouble drawing hands. I don't blame you if you do, because they're very difficult. But again, I'm just going to do more on the other side. Okay, just a claw at the end of that thumb, and then I'm just going to draw in the rest of the fingers. So just kind of curvy sausages that kind of curve out. Okay, it's going to take a lot of practice to get that shape right. But so long as you draw in those 5 fingers and claws at the end, I'm sure it'll look fantastic. Okay, so just make sure all your lines meet up, and then there's some claws at the ends of these fingers. Now he's got some stripes on his arms, so let's just draw those in now. So starting here, 1, 2, 3, and try and get those lines curving around the arm, like that. I don't know if you can kind of make that out, but there's kind of a curve going on here. It just gives a better impression of the arm being round and 3-dimensional. If you draw them, I'll just demonstrate, if you just draw them flat like this, do you see what I mean? It just kind of looks like a 2D object, and it's not like that. So if you can, just try and give those lines a bit of a curve. It'll look a lot more interesting, a lot more real, I guess, as real as an Incineroar can be. Not very real. Now the shoulders actually have some kind of spiky tufts of, I think it's fur on them, so we'll draw now. We'll draw that now before we forget. So to do this, let's start about here, which is about 1/3 of the way up the arm. And we're just going to draw a line that goes straight up. And don't worry about overlapping, it's fine if you overlap. I'm overlapping. Because any overlaps we're going to get rid of when we ink it with a Sharpie. Then curve down, and then up a little further. Then curve down for a little spike that goes behind the arm, like that. Remember what I said about kind of a 3D look? So then finish it off with a line that curves down and meets where we started. It's quite tricky, might take you a few tries, but just follow my guide and you should get it down pretty quick. So again, just to show you again, a line that goes up, gets to about this kind of tuft of fur here on his face, curve down, up a bit further than we got last time, curve down, up for a little one, and then behind the arm. Bring it around down to where we started, and there we go, we've got kind of his shoulder fur going on there. Now, we're most of the way through the drawing actually, just got the legs to tackle, so a way I like to tackle this is start here and start here. We're just going to sketch in some loose guides, a line that curves out, in, out a little bit, and then a straight line. Okay, try and get that shape as best as you can. So out a bit, in a little bit less than this big one here for his thigh, down a bit, and then a straight line across. If it helps, here's a tip for you, if it helps, you can actually draw a straight line from one foot to the other. Use a ruler if you like. It can be helpful for getting the feet even if you just draw a straight line across, because it can be really easy, for example, to draw, you know, the foot up here and then you don't really realize that they're not even, you know? So just draw a straight line across, might help you get those feet really, really even. I know that's something I still struggle with to this day. So let's draw in the rest of those legs. Right now he's got kind of like stick legs going on, hasn't he? He looks very top heavy. So let's just start here. Just draw a straight line down, because we're going to draw in a belt in a bit. So just a short straight line down on each side. And then we're going to start to follow the guide. So we're just kind of thickening those legs, okay? That's why I draw the guides. I think it's very, very useful for getting the shape right. So just follow that guide around to the knee, and then come in a bit. Okay. Now for the feet, he's just got kind of like cat paws going on. So we'll come up a bit, then across, and then down to the end of the guide that we drew before, okay? So I'm just going to demonstrate that again on the other side. So we'll come up a little bit, just a little bit, not much, then across, and then bring it down to the guideline. Now we can just kind of follow this guide up. I'm just going to go a little bit outside of the guide till I get to here. It's kind of the heel of his foot. And then again, we're just kind of following the guide a little bit, and then we'll just bring it towards the bottom of the torso here. Okay, so just to show you that again, it's kind of a subtle curve, but from the heel, you just go in a little bit, okay, and then up towards the center. We'll just draw a line across here where the legs meet. Okay, now, what do feet have that we haven't drawn yet? That's right, they've got toes, so let's just draw those in real quick. Okay, I think he's only got 3 toes, so just draw a little curve for each toe. Again, if you just draw a straight line, it'll look flat, you know, like that. So just try and get a bit of a curve going. Now, Incineroar, one of his most defining features is he's got like a fiery belt going on here, so we're going to draw that in now. So I think a really easy way to draw this, if we just draw from the chin, yeah, that's right, from the chin, a line that goes down straight to where the legs meet here, okay? And then draw kind of like a teardrop shape through the middle of that guideline that we just drew. Okay, so this guideline starting here helps us to know where the middle of our drawing is. It's always helpful to have that there. So just draw that teardrop shape, and then either side of this teardrop we're going to draw kind of like the head of an axe, okay? Quite an easy shape this. It's almost like Lunala's wings if you've played Pokemon Moon. So curve up, and then out, and then in, like that, okay? It's quite a fun shape to draw, I think. And we're actually going to do that a few times, layering on top of each other like that. Again, don't worry about overlap. This overlap doesn't matter. We're going to rub out all our guidelines later. But for now, we still kind of need them there. So just draw those. Do you see that pattern there? 1, 2, 3 of those kind of axe head shapes. So I'm just going to do it again. Okay, I think this is just a really, really kind of fun way. Oops, went a bit too far there. A fun way of drawing the belt. So another axe head, another axe head. Okay, so when we get to actually going over the thing with inks, we're going to get rid of that line, we're going to get rid of that line, it's all going to kind of blend together, but for now, it's just easier to draw them the way they have been. So at the bottom of this teardrop shape here, there's another smaller teardrop just inside it. And now for his tail. Now his tail, you can draw it on this side if you want, but I'm going to draw it on this side. So around where the knee is, I'm just going to start drawing a line that curves up and then towards the body a bit. And the end of the tail is quite bulbous, it's quite thick. So we'll just kind of bring out a big curve like that, and then follow it back in towards the knee. Don't go too thin there. Okay, nice and thick at the end, and thin here. And then near the end, just draw, again, a curve that makes it look kind of like it's going around the tail, like a 3D shape. Okay, and then we're just going to draw... It's quite tricky this, but it's kind of like the shoulder bit here, it's kind of like that, just kind of keep that in mind, the way we drew that. Just kind of big bang looking spikes. And then there's just a stripe going around the tail here. And there it is. That can be quite hard to draw, but just rewind if you need to. So you're kind of getting that bulbous shape on the end, and just draw this kind of shape around it here, so that you get kind of like a 3D look to it. It's quite tricky, but you'll get the hang of it. Now, we're just going to do the pattern on the torso, so starting here, okay, a curve that goes out most of the way to the end of the torso, but then comes back, goes down, goes out, curves back, and then goes down. Okay, I'm just going to do the same for the other side. I can't really equate that shape to anything, I don't really know what it looks like, it's quite unique to be honest. Okay, so out, and then in, then down. And that's the torso pattern done. There's just a couple of stripes on his leg. On that side. And on this side. Okay, again, get those curves in to make it look 3D, like it's going around the leg, like that. And I'd say we're pretty much done with the sketch. Now I'm going to go over mine with some ink. I'm going to rub out the guidelines, rub out the bits that overlap, like that. That overlaps. That overlaps. These are guidelines here. So I'm just going to go over it with a pen. You should do the same. And we'll end up with a really cool drawing of Incineroar. And there we go. Rub out those guidelines when it's dry, and you'll end up with an awesome inked Incineroar drawing. So here's a question for you guys. Who is your favourite Pokemon from Generation 7? Leave your answer in the comments below. If you do end up drawing Incineroar, I'd love to see it. Send your drawing my way and I might feature it in the next episode. And remember, if you want to learn to draw the quick and easy way and impress your friends while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.